Great. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to the masterclass session for post MVP track. And today we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic, which is the UI and UX. And for that, I have with me Miss Vaishnavi Reddy, who is the founder of the company called OriginUX Studio. Ms. Vaishnavi has more than 10 years of an experience in design, and she's an alumni of NIFT, and she would be the one who's going to guide us through the importance of UI UX in today's websites and any kind of an interface that the customer has. So Vaishnavi, why don't you take it up from here and give us a brief background, and then you can start with the session.
Thanks, Karan. So I would just like to, Karan, if you can just help me understand who are the participants and what kind of companies
Sure,
are.
sure. Yeah, I think that's very important. So I would request the founders, each one of the founders present at this forum, to just give a brief introduction about their company and what kind of problem statement that they're solving and what are the current user interfaces that are there. Okay. So any of the three gentlemen can take the lead, introducing themselves.
Hi Karan.
Hi, Pratap.
I'm sorry I cannot switch on my camera right now. Hi Vaishnavi. Hope you're
Hi.
doing well. Yeah. So we are Uden. Our company's product name is Uden, and we are trying to solve the basically bridge the gap between skilled employees and the requirements of the companies. So basically we are working on providing companies to the best fit talent towards them, and on the same note we are also helping candidates upskill themselves through various technologies, so that the company's requirements and the candidates expertise are met equally. And yeah, that's about it. I don't understand the question about our UX. I think our UX is made on React. Is like basically a front end on React. I might not be able to answer any other question on that. My CEO looks after the complete tech.
Sure. So yours is more of an L&D for an enterprise or a company within, is it?
No. It's not for a specific for a company. It's open for all. We try to upskill. We find candidates. We get them upskill through our training partners and get them placed with our partner companies.
Okay. So what is your core of your product? So upskilling, is it an L&D kind of a platform, or is it based on suggestions made, skill gap analysis, and what kind of platform is it?
So it's both. So we assess the candidates, understand their skills, and at the same time we also have companies which have given their requirements to us, their personal requirements, and on the basis of that we mix and match those two together and provide the companies the best suited candidates for them.
And where does this assessment part comes in? Skilling part comes in.
So the process is as simple. We have our system. First of all, the candidate gets on the system. They apply for a job. On the basis of the job that they have applied for, we give them an assessment based on the skills that are required for that particular job. If they qualify for the assessments, then we also have a conversation with them and then push them towards the company. So then the next round of interview is taken care by the companies.
Okay, so this is skill assessment and placement. You mentioned upskilling, right? So where does that?
So if that candidate does not have the required skills, we guide them towards what kind of skills they can upskill themselves on, so that to apply for this job or related jobs like these in the future. So if they opt for that, we guide them towards our training partners. Let's say if he wants to become a Java developer, we guide them towards a Java training institute and get them trained. In the meanwhile, we also support them through their profile development as well, in the sense how to build a good resume, how to maintain a good LinkedIn profile, and all those things. And then we direct them towards the jobs that are open.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Good to know, Pratham. So your product is in what stage? Is it an MVP stage or a post-valid MVP validated state? How many customers do you have? Any thoughts around that?
So our product is launched on Google Play Store. It's in MVP stage. We are trying to get more paying customers on this now. We don't have any paying customers of the product as of now, but we are working towards that.
Okay, thanks for that, Pratham.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Pratham. Yes, please.
Yeah, hello, Vaishnavi. This is Mutyam. I'm founder and CEO of AmidaEdutech.com. It is actually, we are into competitive exams preparation. We are developing, we have our own LMS portal, as well as we are developing our own curated content for this, who are preparing for UPSC kind of exams.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So which stage are you at, Mutyam? How many users do you have, and a little bit around that?
We have around 5,000 students are there in the existing portal now. So most of this 5,000 out of 5,000, most of 95% of them are actually we are captive customers. We have few captive educational institutions. From them, we have these customers.
Okay, nice, good. So they are all they are happy adopting your product. Any insights on where your product stands or in terms of a user experience?
Yeah, they initially, yes, to some extent, they're product wise they're happy, and we suddenly need some like insights on our UI UX part. Actually, this is though it's a very basic one we have. We would like to develop some better device design that in a much more better way. So,
okay,
yeah, that is one aspect we are actually working on it.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So we are from Mindful Gurukul, and we are in the EdTech. We're building an EdTech platform. Now, the main problem which we are trying to solve is the self-study hours and how we can optimize the self-study hours. And we help them in scheduling the timetable, the students in scheduling the timetable and optimizing it, and removing the distraction hours using mindfulness and other methods. So this is the whole platform. So we are right now in the product development stage, where we are just going to launch in another month or so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Sure.
Thanks. Abhishek, I think, is the one now. That's it.
I'm Abhishek Patel, I'm founder and CEO of Swati, and we are building a tech platform that is based out of Indian traditional roots. So we are into online yoga classes, Vedic maths, Sanskrit, astrology. So the science that has come up from India, we are scaling this on global scale.
Okay. So and where does the product currently stand?
So right now we are operating in India, and this month we launched in US market.
Okay. And how many users are they paying customers, or any thoughts around that?
So we have around 200 plus paying customers on our platform.
Okay. All right. So there is no age bar and relevancy of the age, etc. Right? So anybody who's interested to understand about this kind of science, they can become your customer, right?
So we have for Vedic maths, we have like minimum age is 10 years, and batch 1 is from 4th grade to 8th grade, then 9 to 12, and then 12 plus. So these are the 3 categories the student can learn Vedic maths.
Okay.
And yoga is 18 plus.
Okay, so this is still very a curriculum driven, school driven, education system driven app, not for general public interest.
Yes, for general public, those who have like interest in Vedic maths, they can also learn. So there are actually 16 sutras that has come up from our Vedas, and it is divided into 5 levels. So anyone can like learn this, not a problem.
All right, so thanks team. So today the context of what we are going to do is just let me bring up the screen. Are you all able to see my screen? Okay, great. All right. So today what we will see is that just wanted to give you an understanding about how post an MVP or during an MVP or UX journey could look like, right? Because user experience today has become very mainstream in the journey of product development and design, and helping brands understand where their products are getting adopted, where are they getting rejected, where how their users are using, because at the end of the day your business runs on these products, right? And how do people interact with them, and how do they literally use them, whether they like them, whether they are able to afford them, do they really feel value in paying for a certain service that you provide. So there are n number of questions that can be that can be solved, or even resolved with user experience being the center of your performances, right? So yes, there are multiple things in which, first of all, the idea itself has to have a good market fit. Apart from that, the execution of how you develop the product with certain speed, with a certain good tech stack, right? And all of that is also the second pillar. And equally, another important pillar becomes your user experience, because no matter what your great product market fit you may have, great tech stack you may have, but at the end of the day, if you're not able to translate some of your services which are easy to adapt and use, even if it is a free product, then you might see problems in users adopting it, right? So post an MVP, technically what happens is probably the brands are at a stage where the desirability, feasibility, and viability, all the three things are validated, right? Your product is up and running, you have a certain market understanding, you have certain understanding as to who will add, users will have an understanding of why certain value systems are there in place to be able to use your product. So probably you have found the right fit of these three main pillars of a product. Now, what does the UX journey look like for the next scale? So most of you, I think each of you are in parallel tracks of journey. Some of you have 200 plus customers, some of you have 1,000 plus customers, some of you have cross-border, culturally different customers. So since the customer journeys are, customer types and market types are very different, but one thing that will help you go forward is that the framework. So because of various reasons, you may tend to kind of prioritize a certain product development or feature or functional development more over to the user experience. But I think that is the traditional way in which companies used to build products and experiences. But I think the game changer going on forward now is also companies who are going to give user experience and design a very important place at the core of how the organization works. Right. So if you really see a matrix in which how the organization works, you might probably understand you are putting your business KPIs first. Probably you're giving more importance to marketing or different project stakeholders. Your development team becomes very strong because because they are the ones who are going to develop. And all of these, sometimes there could be chances because of various reasons, either because of the budget constraints or timeline constraints to go to market or to roll out features. Sometimes user feedback and the focus on user experience takes a backseat. So my recommendation would be, when you are charting out your next growth plan, include user experience and keep the users requirements and the desirability factor, because most of your products are not going to be free products. You at some point tend to monetize it. So why is your product worth a user's time and money is something that you really have to focus on. So moving on, sometimes at this stage of the product, the founders are usually have a tough time choosing between, should my experience look good, or should my functionally the product should function well, or probably the look and feel is very nice, but product is fundamentally flawed. So between these three aspects, you tend to juggle your priorities. But right from the beginning itself, I would recommend that you take a more proactive approach and try to keep the customer experience at the center of things, and try to balance out because even if you have the world's greatest tech stack in place, and you'll be really proud of your technology and product idea, if it is not presented well, and if it is not in a manner in which your customer can easily consume it, then you might not really win have the success tasted, right? So now specifically, I'm very sure all of you are very versatile with how to create roadmaps and technology stacks, etc. What today I want to focus and zoom in is how do you create a parallel UX roadmap, right? So you must have created product roadmaps, which probably have different milestones. You might have done feature categorization, prioritizing which function has to roll out in which version. But most of you may or may not have really considered what kind of a UX roadmap also we can do. So how do you achieve that in the entire line of a product roadmap, right? You can also draw a parallel at which feature or which version of a rollout, what kind of user experience we will provide. And then from there, you can zoom in and then divide and prioritize based on now, next, and future. Because there definitely is, an experience benchmark that other brands are creating, right? Some other brands, and not just from your competitor perspective, but also from a market landscape itself. So today, companies like Swiggy and Netflix have really changed the game of accessing things with comfort, accessing things with speed, right? So these are some of the market signals that users are very used to these days, right? So at the same time, so how can you try and understand these user behaviors that are generally shaping up the market and the mindsets of users, and try to adapt those kind of content? So for example, in the competitive exam studying space, right? So let's say if you have your users and attention span generally is reduced. So if you are developing courses which are multi hours long, then probably that may not be the best user experience, right? So are there other ways of disseminating the same information? Right now today, people are are really liking episodes after episodes, or mini bite content series. So these are the different things the users are focused on. Definitely that your customer base is much more nerdier and focused, but still having make them to sit for 2 or 3 hours of session may not be the best user experience that you can give for, right? And for Vedic Max kind of a thing. So so people today are looking for flexibility kind of market segments, right? So does your course structure or the way in which people tend to finish that are you looking at gamified solutions, or are there any incentives that as reward system or gratification systems that you're providing the users to be able to stick to your app for a longer time, right? Because initially it is either impulsive decision, or it's like making new year resolutions, right? So people try to come on your platform and definitely with a good intent, but are we really making them stick and really making it a delightful experience for them? You can retrospect it and try to provide those kind of touch points through different UX roadmap and UX delight in your product journey. And of course, everything cannot be done on the first versions itself, on the first rollout itself. That is why we say that you can always prioritize what kind of different user experience delight points you can bring, and then prioritize as to what are absolutely important, what is a good to have, and what is must to have, right? And categorize it and align it with your product roadmap. So for a post MVP kind of a product session, you can relook at the so certain learnings and understandings you might have gathered from your journey from 0 to 1. Now from 1 to 10, what kind of differentiation can you create, right? So there are three, pretty much that differentiation can happen within 3 buckets. So at a startup, at a starting stage or top of the funnel level, from a website perspective, which is your landing page, to kind of then draw people to either sign up or download app, and multiple call to actions, right? So how do you create that awareness stage? And within that funnel, then how do you make them consider that, okay, let me sign up with them, or let me try these guys out as a free customer? And then when the decision making part comes in terms of how do I become a paid customer, or do I renew my license with these? So what kind of architecture will help them make the decision? So you'd have to be very clear in terms of offering the information architecture, deriving customer journeys for different types of uses. So one out of X number of users that you may have, few people are new users, few people are users with you but are not active users, few people are active but they're not willing to upgrade. So there could be multiple scenarios and combinations of users, right? So how do you keep funneling them from one stage to another stage is something that your architecture has to be dynamic enough to be able to address that issue, right? And some multiple you can attempt to have so for these varying personas of different types of users within your user universe, what kind of information architecture and what kind of navigation models can you provide them to be able to funnel them to your you would have a certain idea of what your dream customer has to be like, right? They should pay X amount of money, or their engagement percentage has to be this for XYZ, or their daily active usage has to be X percentage and above. So whatever be your business KPI, try to have different navigation models for them and try to funnel these people across that journey, right? And also so we do understand that at a startup level and before you have that breakthrough in terms of both a monetary hit point and a user threshold, there still, without burning a big hole in the pocket, you still can get your UI the way in which your app or product looks a lot better by following certain design tips, right? So what kind of white spaces you have, does your app look very balanced, right? Are you following principles of design? In what hierarchy are you disseminating the information? What kind of color contrast are you using? So these are certain design tips that you can follow and have not a decent looking user interface without spending a lot of money and time, right? And then these are other principles of design where emphasis, symmetry, and if you are a mobile first, then follow the best practices of mobile design, how a person can use your app. And typically, what does this all translate to? You need a good team to be able to do that. And while you are at a very early stage, you do not have to have a large team. You can always, at a best case scenario, this can look a positive team structure where you have a user experience lead and certain. So content is equally important as the design, so that you get your UX copy, etc. Right? And you definitely can use a user experience researcher to relay back and understand some of the feedback that's coming in from the analytics and how do you improvise it, and a UI developer to be able to take those changes from the designers and relay that back as a design driven front end UI development for your next version. I see a raise of hand. Yes, Karan.
Yeah, Vaishnavi, I just want to understand, see, as a startup, so everybody's working in a very lean structure, okay? So same applies on the team as well.
Yeah.
So what is the most minimum team in terms of designing the UI, the UX? This would be beneficial. Yeah,
correct. So that's what I'm coming to. So this would be an ideal structure. And in the case of that not being able to happen, then even one full stack UI UX designer who is able to understand or who has the experience to play these roles will be a good start. And as on requirement basis, as an ad hoc basis, definitely you can have at least one in-house designer, right, equivalent to a product manager in-house. And if at all there is a requirement for scale, you can always outsource it to agencies, right? So typically this would be your a journey which looks like for an MVP from 0 to 1, you've done it now. From 1 to 10, it could look like this. And the game changes when it goes to 10 to 100. So we'll probably have another session when all of you kind of evolve to that stage. So that's all from my side, Karan. Thank you. I'll take any questions if there are.
Yeah, I saw Raki joining in. Raki, would you like to just give us a quick in fact, Vaishnavi, a quick introduction about your company, yourself, and what kind of a UI UX that you're working on?
Yeah, hi. So ours is the website is on WordPress and PHP, and it's basically we're in the process of revamping the site where the UI UX design is all ready. And I was just going through your slides, and I would, a similar experience that we've had. We have hired one UX designer, and he's made wireframes, and he's made the website mobile responsive, because I work in the education sector, and the website caters towards providing curated content and courses to educators to help them teach better. And the problem that we are trying to solve out here is the quality of education is a cause of concern. And this is mainly because we lack teacher upgradation. So that's the problem that we are solving out here by helping teachers with good content so that they can teach better, and also upskilling courses so that they can look out for better opportunities. So right now the website is was only catering towards content. We were not catering towards courses, and that was happening outside. But now we've appointed someone who's taking care of it and integrating everything on the site so that the traffic is shown, and we exactly know what are the kind of people who are interested in courses and which are the people who are interested in content, and also curation of content when it comes to YouTube videos. Educators are always searching for good YouTube videos, so that is also one curation that we have done, where educators can find videos for any topic, the one of the top 5 best videos for any topic that they can showcase in their classroom. So yeah, so yeah, I was just trying to understand from your slides whether we are doing it the right way or not.
Yes, I think yes. I think once you roll out with, see, when it comes to user experience, there is no one way to do things, right? The idea is always have somebody in who you can afford. And the idea is they don't have to be the best of the lot, right? Even if they are
Correct.
really consistent and are receptive to making a lot of changes and being sensible with timings of the rollout, that itself is a good place to start, because these the kind of team that you have in the early stage, because like I said, there's no one way, right? So you always have, even if you feel that you're in a very comfortable place, I would still recommend that you experiment and understand if there are other ways or other ways in which your top of the funnel design can help you convert more, right? So
yeah, so the UX designer, basically they only responsible for setting the wireframe and the design and the flow.
So in this kind of a scenario, more than the UX designer, I think if you can have one person who's more of both the UI and UX design, that will be more beneficial for you, both from an outcome perspective, so that you experience and design, as an outcome is as a whole is beneficial, and at the same time it is not too much of an overhead for you as a team as well.
Yeah, it is quite an overhead, I must say. UX designers, they charge quite a lot. So, and also the fact that they don't, I mean, a couple of them we've already contacted before we got done, and all of them were like, we can only design, but we can't develop it for you. So you need a developer for it.
Yes. Essentially, see, UX design, which is the wireframe stage, UI design, which is the visual. You can for most parts of it, you can get a combination of UX and UI. So a person who does the research understands how the flow and navigation should be, and at the end of it, designs also. But usually these guys will not have the capability of front end development. So you might have to so at this stage, I think the best way to go forward is to outsource most of the elements.
Yeah. So what would be like a rough cost for, let's say, a 7 or 8 page website?
So typically, I think it depends on the type of agencies. Today, you can, if you are able to shell out anywhere between a lakh to a lakh and a half for UX UI and development. I'm not talking about the content, about 1.5 to 1.5 to 1.8, around less than 2 lakhs is a good budget.
Less than 2 lakhs. Okay. Okay. Great. Thanks, Vaishnavi, for that. Yeah.
Any other questions, team?
No, none from my side. Yeah.
And I think that's it. we still have time. I know.
No worries. So if anybody has any pain points or questions, happy to resolve. And I think Karan, I'll also share this deck, and if you would like to circulate internally, please feel free to.
I'll do that.
All right then. Nice catching up with you guys. If there should be any afterthoughts and questions, please feel free to connect with me on email.